The stars looked different from here. Captain Lee Tae-woo pressed his palm against the cold metal of the observation deck window and watched the neutral station rotate slowly against the black of space. 3 years of war had led to this moment. 3 years of dead friends and burning ships. 3 years of wondering if humans would survive their first real contact with aliens. "Captain, the Zephyrian ships are approaching," Commander Kim Woo-jin said behind him. "They'll dock in 20 minutes. Tae-woo turned away from the window. His uniform felt too tight around his shoulders. The weight of representing all of humanity pressed down on him like a heavy blanket. "How do I look?" "Like a man who hasn't slept in 3 days, Dr. Park Mina said with a small smile. She adjusted the translation device on her collar. "But ready. You look ready." Tae-woo nodded. The neutral station had been built specifically for these talks. Neither human nor Zephyrian, it floated in empty space between their territories. The air recyclers hummed quietly overhead. Everything smelled like metal and cleaning products. "Remember what we discussed?" Mina continued. "Don't stare. Don't touch anything without permission. Keep your hands visible. And whatever you do, don't comment on their appearance." "I know the rules," Tae-woo said. But his stomach twisted anyway. The Zephyrians were supposed to be beautiful in a way that hurt to look at. Their ships, certainly, were. When the first human scout had seen them 3 years ago, he'd called them living art made of light and metal. The war started 2 days later. Woo-jin checked his watch. 15 minutes. The diplomatic team is assembled in conference room. The security detail is in position but staying back as requested. They walked through the station's corridors. Their footsteps echoed in the empty halls. Only essential personnel were allowed on the station during the talks. Everyone else waited on ships positioned a safe distance away. Safe in case the talks went badly. Safe in case someone started shooting again. Conference room A was larger than Tae-woo expected. A long oval table sat in the center with chairs on both sides. The human side looked normal. Cloth seats, standard height, designed for human bodies. The other side had different chairs, taller, curved in strange ways, built for beings they'd only seen in blurry combat footage and intercepted transmissions. "They're here," Woo-jin said, looking at his tablet. "Docking now." Tae-woo's mouth went dry. He took his position at the head of the table. Mina sat to his right, her translation equipment ready. Woo-jin stood behind them with 3 other officers. Everyone was armed, but the weapons stayed hidden. This was supposed to be peaceful. The doors opened. The first Zephyrian to enter was tall and wore something that might have been armor, or might have been formal wear. Its skin looked like polished stone, gray with veins of blue that pulsed slowly. Its eyes were completely black. No iris, no pupil, just deep dark pools that seemed to absorb light. Behind it came others, all tall, all with that strange stone-like skin, all moving with perfect grace like dancers or predators. Their leader was obvious, taller than the rest, wearing more elaborate clothing, with skin that shifted from gray to silver as it moved. But then she entered. Tae-woo forgot how to breathe. She was shorter than the others, which still made her taller than most humans. Her skin wasn't gray stone like theirs. It was silver blue and seemed to glow from within. Patterns of light moved across her face and arms like slow lightning. Her hair floated around her head as if she were underwater. And her eyes were like captured starlight. Not black, like the others. Silver and blue and white all swirling together like tiny galaxies. She was the most beautiful thing Tae-woo had ever seen. The lead Zephyrian spoke in a voice like grinding metal. "I am High Chancellor Crixmore of the Zephyrian Empire. I speak for the military council." The translation device turned his words into something humans could understand. Mina whispered, "That's their war leader, the one who's been fighting us." Another Zephyrian stepped forward. This one's skin was lighter, more blue than gray. "I am Ambassador Thylon. I speak for the diplomatic corps." Then she moved. The beautiful one. She walked with fluid steps to stand beside the others. When she spoke, her voice was like music, made of water and wind. I am Princess Veltara, Crown Princess of the Zephyrian Empire. I speak for the royal house. Princess. Of course she was a princess. Tae-woo stared at her openly now. He couldn't help himself. The way the light patterns moved across her skin, the way her hair seemed to have its own life, the way she held herself with perfect confidence, but also something that might have been curiosity. She noticed him staring. Her head turned slightly, and those incredible eyes focused on him. The light patterns on her skin shifted, moving faster now, brighter. Captain Lee Tae-woo, Mina whispered urgently. Captain, but he couldn't look away. Princess Veltara stepped closer to the table. Her eyes stayed fixed on his. When she spoke again, there was something sharp in her musical voice. Human leader, why are you staring? The room went completely silent. Even the air recyclers seemed to stop humming. Tae-woo felt every eye in the room on him, human and Zephyrian alike. This was the moment. First words between their species in a peaceful setting. The words that might determine if the war continued or if peace was possible. He should apologize. He should explain about human customs and visual appreciation. He should say something diplomatic and safe. Instead, he told the truth. Because you're beautiful. The silence stretched longer. Princess Veltara's light patterns went completely still. Her eyes widened slightly. Behind her, High Chancellor Crixmore made a sound like grinding gears. Mina's face had gone white. Woo Jin's hand moved toward his sidearm. Tae-woo realized he might have just ended the human race. But Princess Veltara continued to stare at him, and slowly, very slowly, the light patterns on her skin began to shift again. Different now, softer somehow. Beautiful, she repeated, testing the word. Her head tilted slightly to one side. This is how humans begin diplomatic contact? With personal observations? No, Tae-woo said quietly. This is how humans tell the truth. The princess looked at him for a long moment. Then she moved to her chair and sat down with perfect grace. Very well, she said. Let us see what other truths emerge from these talks. High Chancellor Crixmore looked ready to start the war again right there in the conference room. But he took his seat as well. The first meeting between humans and Zephyrians in peacetime had begun. The first day of talks went badly. Every time Tae-woo spoke, High Chancellor Crixmore's skin turned darker. When Mina tried to explain human territorial claims, Ambassador Thylon's eyes went completely black. And whenever anyone looked at Princess Veltara, she stared back with those swirling starlight eyes like she was trying to solve a puzzle. The human expansion threatens our outer colonies, Crixmore said. His voice scraped like metal on stone. Your species breeds too quickly, takes too much, gives nothing back. We're explorers, Tae-woo replied. We look for new homes because our old ones are overcrowded. We don't want to hurt anyone. Yet you do hurt. You take worlds that belong to others. The worlds we've settled were empty. Empty to you, not empty to us. This was the same argument they'd been having for 3 years. The same words that had led to burning ships and dead crews. Tae-woo felt his patience wearing thin. Princess Veltara spoke for the first time that day. High Chancellor, the human captain speaks of exploration. What does this word mean in their culture? Crixmore's skin darkened further. Princess, with respect, their cultural meanings are irrelevant. I disagree. Her light pattern shifted from silver to gold. If we are to make peace, we must understand their thinking. She looked directly at Tae-woo. Explain exploration, human captain. Tae-woo thought carefully. For humans, exploration is hope. When we see stars, we wonder what's out there. When we find empty worlds, we see places where our children might live. We explore because we have to. Because staying still means death. Death? Her pattern shifted again. Your species dies without expansion? Not directly, but we dream of something better. Always something better. If we can't reach for new things, new places, we stop being fully human. Princess Veltara was quiet for a long moment. This is difficult to understand. Zephyrians find perfection in stability, in keeping things as they are. Maybe that's why we're fighting, Taewoo said. We change everything we touch. You want everything to stay the same. High Chancellor Crixamore stood suddenly. Enough, Princess. This human's words prove our point. They admit they cannot stop changing things. They will never leave us in peace. High Chancellor, Ambassador Thylon said quietly, perhaps we should continue tomorrow. Today's discussions have been intense. After the Zephyrians left, Taewoo sat alone in the conference room. His head hurt. 3 hours of talking and they'd made no progress at all. Maybe the war hawks on both sides were right. Maybe peace was impossible. Captain? Mina sat down beside him. That could have gone worse. How? No one started shooting. Taewoo almost smiled. Yet. The princess is interesting, Mina continued. Did you notice how her skin patterns changed when you talked about exploration? She's curious about us. That's good. Crixamore wants to kill us all. That's bad. One step at a time. Mina gathered her translation equipment. I'm going to study their language more tonight. Maybe I can find better ways to explain human concepts. Taewoo was walking back to his quarters when the door chime rang. He opened it to find Princess Veltara standing in the corridor alone. Up close, she was even more beautiful. The light patterns on her skin moved slowly, like breathing. Her silver blue hair floated around her face in the station's artificial gravity. Princess, he said, trying not to stare again. Is everything all right? I wish to understand something, she said. May I enter? His quarters were small and basic. A bed, a desk, a chair. Nothing special. She looked around with obvious interest. You called me beautiful yesterday, she said without introduction. In Zephyrian culture, this would be inappropriate. Comments about appearance suggest ownership, possession. Taewoo felt his face flush. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't mean to offend you. I was not offended. I was confused. She sat in his chair with perfect grace. Explain what beautiful means to humans. He sat on the edge of his bed, keeping distance between them. Beautiful means something that makes you happy to look at. Something that seems perfect even if it's not. Something that makes you feel good just by existing. And you felt this when you looked at me? Yes. He met her eyes. I still do. Her light pattern shifted from silver to soft gold. This is strange. In Zephyrian culture, beauty is functional. Beautiful things serve a purpose. They are not valued for appearance alone. What about art, music, things made just to be enjoyed? She looked puzzled. These concepts exist but are not important. Food must nourish, shelter must protect, clothing must cover. What purpose does beauty serve? Taewoo thought about how to explain. Beauty serves hope, joy. It reminds us that life is worth living, that there are things worth protecting. You protect beautiful things? We protect what we love, and we love beautiful things. Princess Veltara was quiet for several minutes. Her patterns shifted through different colors. Silver, gold, blue, back to silver. Show me, she said finally. Show you what? Human art, human music. These beautiful things that serve no function. Taewoo pulled out his personal tablet. He scrolled through files until he found a music recording. This is called a symphony. It's just sound but organized in patterns that make humans feel emotions. He played a section of Beethoven's Ninth. The music filled the small room. Princess Veltara tilted her head and listened. Her skin patterns began to move in time with the music. The sounds change, she said when it ended. They create anticipation, satisfaction. How is this possible? I don't know how it works, but it does. He showed her a painting next. This is visual art, just colors and shapes, but arranged to create beauty. She studied the image carefully. The artist made this to serve no function except appearance, except to make people feel something when they look at it. What do you feel? Tae-woo looked at the painting, a landscape of earth mountains at sunset. Peace, home, longing for places I've never been. Remarkable. Her patterns shifted to deep blue. Zephyrians create nothing without purpose, yet you create things whose only purpose is to create feeling. Does that seem wrong to you? She considered this. Not wrong. Inefficient. But perhaps. She paused. Perhaps there is a purpose I do not understand. They talked for 2 more hours. Tae-woo showed her poetry, sculpture, photographs of Earth. She asked endless questions about human creativity and emotion. Why humans cried at sad music. Why they laughed at jokes. Why they made things just to be beautiful. When she finally left, her parting words stayed with him. Tomorrow's talks will be different, she said. I understand something new now. What? Do you understand? That humans create beauty because you need it to survive. Not physically, but here. She touched her chest where a human heart would be. This changes how I see your expansion. Perhaps you do not take worlds. Perhaps you make them beautiful. After she left, Tae-woo sat in his quarters and thought about her words. For the first time since arriving at the station, he felt something that might have been hope. The alarm screamed through the station at 0300 hours. Tae-woo rolled out of bed and grabbed his uniform. His comm unit crackled with urgent voices. Captain to the bridge. Emergency. Captain to the bridge now. He ran through empty corridors while pulling on his jacket. The bridge was chaos when he arrived. Officers shouted over each other while screens flashed with incoming data. Report, Tae-woo ordered. Commander Woo Jin looked sick. Sir, there's been an attack. The Zephyrian embassy. Ship. 3 explosions. Heavy casualties. The blood drained from Tae-woo's face. Who? Unknown attackers. They used human weapons. Human ships. The signatures matched the Terran Liberation Front. Tae-woo closed his eyes. The TLF were extremists who believed the only good alien was a dead alien. They'd opposed the peace talks. From the beginning. How many dead? 12 Zephyrians confirmed, including 2 of Ambassador Thylon's staff. The princess and her security team are alive, but barely. Where is she now? Medical bay on their ship. The High Chancellor is demanding immediate transport back to Zephyrian space. He says the talks are over. Tae-woo ran to the docking bay. Princess Veltara's ship was scarred with burn marks and hull breaches. Smoke leaked from damaged sections. Emergency crews worked to stabilize the life support systems. He found her in the ship's medical bay. She sat on an examination table while a medical drone sealed cuts on her arms. Her skin was pale silver, almost gray. The light patterns moved slowly, weakly. Princess, he said quietly. She looked up. Her starlight eyes were dimmed, but they focused on him clearly. Captain Tae-woo, you came. Are you hurt badly? Minor injuries. Others were not so fortunate. Her voice was steady, but he could hear the strain. Velkoth was beside me when the first explosion hit. He shielded me with his body. He will not see his homeworld again. Tae-woo felt anger building in his chest. Hot red anger that made his hands shake. Princess, I swear to you, we will find who did this. They will pay. Your people did this. The words hit him like a physical blow. Not my people. Criminals. Terrorists. They don't speak for humanity. They are human. You are human. What is the difference? Tae-woo struggled for words. How could he explain that humans weren't a unified species? That some humans could be monsters while others died protecting strangers? High Chancellor Crixmore entered the medical bay. His stone-gray skin was almost black with rage. Human captain, have you come to gloat over your victory? High Chancellor, I had nothing to do with this. The human government had nothing to do with this. Your species attacked us under a flag of peace. This is how humans negotiate. With murder. No. Tae-woo stepped closer. This is how cowards attack what they fear. The people who did this are afraid of peace, afraid that humans and Zephyrians might actually understand each other. Understand? Crixmore's voice rose to a grinding roar. We understand perfectly. Humans are treacherous animals who cannot be trusted. Some humans, yes. Just like some Zephyrians probably want this war to continue forever. But not all of us. Enough. Crixmore turned to Princess Veltara. Princess, we are leaving. These talks are finished. No. Her voice was quiet but firm. We are not leaving. Both Taewoo and Crixmore stared at her. Princess? Crixmore's skin shifted from black to dark purple. You cannot be serious. I am completely serious. She stood from the examination table. Despite her injuries, she moved with royal grace. If we leave now, the terrorists win. They want us to stop talking. They want the war to continue. I will not give them that victory. Princess, with respect, your father will not approve. My father put me in charge of these negotiations. I say we continue. Crixmore's patterns flashed angry red. It is too dangerous. They will attack again. Then we will be more careful, but we will not run. Taewoo felt something tight in his chest loosen slightly. Princess, are you sure? I couldn't blame you for wanting to leave after what happened. She looked at him with those dimmed starlight eyes. Captain, yesterday you showed me human art. Music, poetry. You showed me that humans create beautiful things. Today I saw that humans also create terrible things. I wish to understand both. Understanding won't bring back your people. No, but it might prevent more deaths. 3 days later, they resumed the talks. Extra security surrounded the station. Both human and Zephyrian warships patrolled nearby space. Everyone was nervous, suspicious, ready for another attack. The talks went differently this time. Princess, Veltara asked direct questions about human nature. Why some humans were capable of terrorist attacks while others risked their lives for peace. How human societies dealt with violence and extremism. What drove humans to both create and destroy. Taewoo answered as honestly as he could. We're not perfect, we never have been. Some of us are angels, some of us are devils, and most of us are somewhere in between. We struggle with ourselves every day. This struggle, she said, it causes you pain? Yes. But it also makes us grow. Makes us better. A species without internal conflict never changes, never improves. High Chancellor Crixmore had been quiet during this exchange. Now he spoke. You admit your species is flawed, that some of your kind are capable of unprovoked violence. Why should we trust any of you? Taewoo thought about the question. It was fair. Why should aliens trust a species that couldn't even trust itself? Because, he said finally, the same thing that makes us capable of terrible violence also makes us capable of incredible sacrifice. The same emotions that drive humans to hate also drive us to love, to protect, to die for strangers. I do not understand. The attack on the princess's ship, it was carried out by humans who hated without knowing why. But human security teams also died trying to stop it. The same species, the same emotions pointed in different directions. Princess Veltara leaned forward. You are saying that human violence and human compassion come from the same source? Yes. We feel everything intensely. Love, hate, fear, hope. We can't turn it off. The best we can do is choose which feelings we act on. And you choose to act on compassion? I try to. Most humans try to. We don't always succeed, but we try. The princess was quiet for a long time. Her skin patterns shifted through silver, gold, blue, and back to silver. This is why your art moves me, she said finally. It comes from these intense feelings, pain and joy and hope all mixed together. Yes. And this is why some humans attacked us. They felt fear intensely and chose to act on it. Yes. But you feel the same fear, and you choose to act on hope instead. Taewoo nodded. That's what makes us human. Not that we feel these things, but that we can choose what to do with them. High Chancellor Crixmore's skin had shifted from dark purple to gray during this conversation. This human emotional intensity, he said slowly, It is not a weakness as we believed. It's both weakness and strength, Taewoo said. It makes us unpredictable, unstable, sometimes dangerous, but it also makes us capable of things no purely logical species could do. What things? We'll die for ideas. For other people. For principles we've never seen touched. We'll spend our whole lives working on problems we'll never solve, just so our children might have better chances. We'll sacrifice everything for the possibility of something beautiful. Princess Veltara's skin patterns brightened for the first time since the attack. You sacrifice for beauty? For beauty, for truth, for justice, for love, for things that have no practical value except that they make life worth living. She looked at High Chancellor Crixmore. This changes things, does it not? The High Chancellor studied Taewoo with those deep black eyes. Perhaps, he said reluctantly. If what the human says is true. It's true, Taewoo said. Both the bad and the good. We're the species that created war crimes and also created the laws that forbid them. We'll torture prisoners and also die, trying to free them. We contain multitudes. Multitudes, Princess Veltara repeated. I think I am beginning to understand what this means. The evidence arrived on the 7th day of talks. Dr. Park Mina burst into the conference room with a datapad clutched in her hands. Her face was pale and her voice shook when she spoke. Captain, I found something about the terrorist attack. You need to see this. Taewoo looked around the table. The morning session had been going well. Princess Veltara and Ambassador Thylon were actually agreeing with some human proposals. Even High Chancellor Crixmore seemed less hostile. What is it, Doctor? Mina hesitated. She glanced at the Zephyrians nervously. Sir, perhaps we should discuss this privately. No. Princess Veltara stood from her chair. If this concerns the attack on my people, I have a right to hear it. Princess, High Chancellor Crixmore warned. This may be a human deception. Let her speak, the princess said firmly. Mina took a deep breath. Captain, I've been analyzing the attack patterns, the weapons used, the timing. The Terran Liberation Front couldn't have pulled this off alone. They had inside information, detailed ship layouts, security protocols, guard rotations. Someone helped them, Taewoo said. Yes, sir. Someone with access to Zephyrian military intelligence. The room went deadly quiet. Princess Veltara's skin patterns shifted to sharp silver lines. High Chancellor Crixmore's skin darkened to almost black. You're saying a Zephyrian helped attack our own people? The princess asked quietly. Mina nodded reluctantly. The evidence points that way, Princess. I'm sorry. Show me. Mina activated her datapad. Holographic displays filled the air above the table. Ship schematics, communication intercepts, financial records. The evidence was damning. The TLF received detailed intelligence about your ship's defenses, Mina explained. They knew exactly where to place their charges for maximum damage. They knew which sections held your most important staff. This information came from inside the Zephyrian military. High Chancellor Crixmore studied the data with those deep black eyes. His skin patterns shifted through various shades of gray and purple. This could be fabricated, he said finally. It could be, Taewoo agreed. But it's not. Dr. Mina, show them the financial records. The hologram changed to display bank transfers and credit flows. Money moving from Zephyrian accounts to human terrorist cells. The transactions were traced back through multiple hidden layers. The funding trail leads to high-ranking Zephyrian military officers, Mina said quietly. Officers who opposed these peace talks from the beginning. Princess Veltara was staring at the financial data. Her skin had gone completely pale, almost white. These account numbers, she whispered. I know these account numbers. Princess? Ambassador Thylon leaned forward with concern. They belong to my uncle, General Morketh, my father's brother. The silence stretched endlessly. High Chancellor Crixmore's skin had turned solid black. Ambassador Thylon's patterns flickered with distress. Princess, Crixmore said carefully, These accusations against your family are true. Her voice was barely audible. My uncle has always opposed contact with other species. He believes Zephyrians should remain pure, isolated. He would see this war continue forever rather than allow peace. What will you do? Tewu asked gently. Princess Veltara stood and walked to the observation window. She stared out at the stars for several minutes. When she spoke, her voice was steady but sad. I will do what honor requires. I will send this evidence to my father. My uncle will face justice for treason against the crown. Princess, High Chancellor Crixmore stood as well. Perhaps there is another way. Family loyalty. Family loyalty? She turned from the window. Her starlight eyes blazed with anger. My uncle's family loyalty killed 12 of our people. Velkoth died because my uncle wanted to sabotage peace. Where was family loyalty then? Your father will not thank you for destroying his brother. My father will thank me for choosing truth over comfort. That is what rulers do, High Chancellor. We make the hard choices so others don't have to. Tewu felt a deep respect for the Yao princess. It took courage to turn against your own family. Among humans it was called integrity. Apparently Zephyrians had the same concept. The talks were suspended while Princess Veltara transmitted the evidence to her homeworld. The response came 6 hours later. General Morketh had been arrested. 3 other high-ranking officers were under investigation. The Zephyrian Emperor himself sent a message of apology to the human delegation. My daughter has shown wisdom beyond her years, the message read. Justice matters more than blood. Truth matters more than comfort. These talks will continue with my full support. That evening, Tewu found Princess Veltara in the station's small observation lounge. She sat alone, looking out at the stars. Her skin patterns moved slowly, shifting between silver and blue. Are you all right? He asked. She didn't look away, from the window. I have destroyed my uncle, shamed my family, created a political crisis in the military. But yes, I am all right. You did the right thing. Did I? My uncle is not evil, Captain. He truly believes that contact with humans will corrupt Zephyrian culture. He acted from conviction, not malice. Tewu sat down beside her, careful to maintain respectful distance. Sometimes people with the strongest convictions do the most damage. Good intentions don't excuse murder. No, they don't. She finally turned to look at him. But it makes the choice harder. It would be easier if he were simply evil. Nothing. Worthwhile is easy. Is that a human saying? One of many. We have thousands of sayings about how difficult it is to do the right thing. For the first time since the attack, Princess Veltara almost smiled. Of course you do. Your species seems to specialize in making everything complicated. We prefer the term nuanced. Nuanced. She tested the word. Yes, I think humans are very nuanced. Perhaps that is why your art moves me. It captures complexity. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. The stars turned slowly outside the window. Other ships moved in the distance, human and Zephyrian vessels working together to secure the area. Captain, the princess said eventually, may I ask you something personal? Of course. Why did you become a diplomat? With your emotional intensity, would it not be easier to be a soldier? A simple warrior fighting clear enemies? Tewu thought about the question. Maybe it would be easier, but easy isn't the point. Someone has to try to prevent wars, not just fight them. Someone has to believe that different species can understand each other, even when those species seem completely incompatible. Especially then, the most important bridges are built across the widest rivers. Princess Veltara's skin pattern shifted to warm gold. Another human saying? Something my grandmother used to tell me. Your grandmother was wise. She was. She also used to say that the most beautiful things in life come from mixing different elements together. Art, music, food, people. Purity is overrated. My uncle would disagree with your grandmother. My grandmother would probably have liked your uncle. She enjoyed arguing with people who had strong opinions. This time, Princess Veltara did smile. It was small, but genuine. I think I would have liked your grandmother as well. An alarm chimed, softly throughout the station. Not an emergency alarm, just the signal for shift change. Evening watch replacing day watch. I should return to my quarters, the princess said. Tomorrow we begin discussing territorial boundaries. The hard part? No, Captain. The hard part was choosing truth over family. The hard part was trusting your species despite the attack. Everything else is just negotiation. She stood to leave, then paused at the door. Captain, your grandmother's saying about mixing different elements. Do you think it applies to species, as well as art? Taewoo met her starlight eyes. I hope so, Princess, I really hope so. After she left, he remained in the observation lounge for a long time, looking at the stars and thinking about bridges across wide rivers, about truth and family loyalty, about the courage it took to trust someone completely different from yourself. Tomorrow they would negotiate borders and trade agreements. But tonight, he felt something he hadn't felt since arriving at the station. He felt like peace might actually be possible. 6 months later, Taewoo stood in the royal garden on the Zephyrian homeworld. The garden was unlike anything on Earth. Crystal trees grew in perfect geometric patterns. Their leaves were made of some translucent material that caught and scattered, light in rainbow patterns. Streams of liquid silver flowed between the trees, making musical sounds as they moved. Everything was beautiful. Everything was precise. Everything was exactly as it had been for 1,000 years. It lacks something, Princess Veltara said beside him. She wore the crown now, Queen Veltara after her father's abdication. The crown was made of the same crystal as the trees, but it seemed to pulse with inner light that matched her skin patterns. What does it lack? Taewoo asked. Chaos. Surprise. The possibility of change. She touched one of the crystal leaves. This tree will look exactly the same in another 1,000 years. It will never grow differently, never surprise anyone, never become something new. Some people find comfort in permanence. I used to be one of those people. Her patterns shifted from silver to gold. Before I met humans, before I learned that change can be beautiful. They walked deeper into the garden. In the distance, Taewoo could see the construction sites. The new buildings going up were different from traditional Zephyrian architecture. Still elegant, still graceful, but with curves where there used to be straight lines. With spaces left for growing things. With windows designed to let in natural light rather than controlled illumination. The Council of Architects is not pleased with the new designs, Queen Veltara said, following his gaze. Change is never easy. No, but it is necessary. She stopped walking and turned to face him. Captain, Ambassador Taewoo now, I have a proposal for you. I'm listening, Your Majesty. Stop calling me Your Majesty. We have moved beyond such formalities. Her patterns flickered with what might have been amusement. I want to establish a new kind of colony, not pure Zephyrian, not pure human, mixed. Both species working together, learning from each other. Taewoo felt his pulse quicken. The military councils won't approve, on either side. High Chancellor Crixmore has become surprisingly supportive of cooperation, and your Admiral Chen believes it could be valuable for both species. She smiled. Amazing what a little evidence of conspiracy can do to change minds. Where? A system between our territories. Empty worlds, beautiful worlds, perfect for experimentation. They walked to a viewing platform that overlooked the capital city. Spires of crystal and metal stretched toward the sky. But among them, Taewoo could see new structures, buildings with gardens on their sides, plazas designed for gathering rather than just transit, art installations that served no function except beauty. Your people are changing, he observed. We are learning, slowly, carefully, but learning. Dr. Park's cultural exchange programs have been enlightening. Did you know that 30% of young Zephyrians now create art in their spare time? Art for its own sake? Art for the joy of creating. Art to express emotions they didn't know they had. art to explore possibilities they never considered. Her patterns brightened. The older generation finds it disturbing. The younger generation finds it liberating. A chime sounded across the garden, musical notes that harmonized with the flowing silver streams. It was the evening call to meditation, a tradition as old as Zephyrian civilization. But instead of the usual monotone chant, today's meditation included variations, improvisations, individual voices adding their own touches to the ancient melody. Even our oldest traditions are evolving, Queen Veltara said. Some of the priests are horrified, others say it brings new meaning to old words. And what do you say? I say my grandmother would be proud. She always believed that traditions should serve the people, not the other way around. They stood in comfortable silence as the sun set over the crystal city. The light caught the new architecture and threw unfamiliar shadows, beautiful shadows that changed as the light moved. About your proposal, Taewoo said finally. The mixed colony. I accept. I haven't told you the details yet. I don't need details. I trust you. Queen Veltara's skin patterns shifted to the warm gold he'd learned meant deep satisfaction. Trust. Yes, that is what we have built, isn't it? Trust between species that seemed incompatible. We're still incompatible in many ways. Zephyrians value stability, humans value change. You prefer logic, we prefer emotion. You plan for centuries. We improvise by the day. And yet we work together. Maybe because of the differences, not despite them. You give us perspective, we give you possibilities. You teach us patience, we teach you passion. A symbiotic relationship. A friendship. Queen Veltara looked at him with those swirling starlight eyes. Is that what this is? Friendship? Taewoo considered the question carefully. Their relationship had evolved over the months since the peace talks. Not romance. They were too different biologically and culturally for that. But something deeper than politics or diplomacy. It's friendship, he said, and partnership, and something I don't think either of our species has a word for yet. Perhaps we will invent a word together. Perhaps we will. A year later, Taewoo stood on the bridge of the first mixed colony ship. Half the crew was human, half Zephyrian. The ship itself was a hybrid design, human creativity combined with Zephyrian precision. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. Approaching the target system, reported Lieutenant Kim Bora from navigation. Sensors show 3 potentially habitable worlds, added scientist Kyle Venor from the Zephyrian Science Station, all within acceptable parameters for both species. Through the bridge windows, Taewoo could see their destination, a yellow star surrounded by planets, worlds that had never known sentient life. Empty canvases waiting for someone to paint on. Them. Which world do we start with? Asked Commander Wu Jin. All of them, Taewoo replied. Humans on one, Zephyrians on another, mixed colonies on the third. Let's see what happens when we give people choices. And if it doesn't work, then we learn something, then we try again differently. He smiled. That's what humans do. And if it does work, added Kyle Venor, then we prove that different species can build something beautiful together. That is what Zephyrians hope for. Queen Veltara's image appeared on the communication screen. She was calling from her new ship, another hybrid design that served as mobile diplomatic headquarters. Ambassador Taewoo, are you ready to make history? As ready as anyone can be for something that's never been done before? Perfect. Her patterns shifted to bright gold. Begin colonization procedures. And Taewoo? Yes. Thank you for showing me that beauty comes in forms I never expected. Thank you for teaching me that strength comes from understanding, not force. The colony ships separated and headed for their respective worlds. On the view screen, Taewoo watched 3 different futures unfold simultaneously. Human chaos and creativity on one world, Zephyrian order and precision on another, and on the third world, something entirely new, something beautiful. 5 years after that first moment in the conference room, when a human captain had stared at an alien princess and spoken truth instead of diplomacy, the galaxy was changing. Not quickly, Change never happened quickly when it involved entire civilizations, but steadily, irreversibly, hopefully. There were still problems. Some humans still distrusted aliens. Some Zephyrians still preferred isolation. There were trade disputes and cultural misunderstandings and occasional violence. But there were also joint research projects and artistic collaborations and children who grew up thinking it was normal to have friends from other species. There were humans learning, Zephyrian patience and Zephyrians learning human spontaneity. There were new words being invented for concepts that had never existed before. There were possibilities that neither species could have imagined alone. And in the royal garden on the Zephyrian homeworld, crystal trees still grew in perfect patterns, but now there were also earth flowers planted between them. Roses and daisies and sunflowers that bloomed in chaotic profusion, adding color and randomness to ancient order. The garden was no longer perfect. It was beautiful. And that, Tewu reflected, as he watched the mixed colonies take shape, was what made all the difference. Not perfection, but beauty. Not the absence of flaws, but the presence of hope. Not sameness, but harmony between different voices singing the same song. The future stretched ahead of them, uncertain and challenging and full of possibilities they couldn't yet imagine. It was going to be beautiful.